My name is Martins Okonkwo, but I'm popularly known as Perry Martins within the media space. I am a father of one, married to one woman, of course. I attended the Federal Polytechnic Negede, where I bagged the HND in Physics and Electronics. Then I did my MSc with South American University, where I studied Media and Communications Management. And then I run a couple of businesses here and there in tech and in media and in the space.
Now you come turn my money into dancing.
I have a background in the sciences. In fact, I studied physics and electronics, but I had a strong passion for media journalism, and I think it stemmed from watching Yinka Craig of the morning show on NTA, AM Express. I was very impressed by the dexterity, the excellence, the expertise of that team, Yinka Craig, Sadiq Daba, and a couple of the men on that show. It really made an impression on me as a young person, and for the first time in my life, I was sure I wanted to do this thing called journalism. So for me, that was where the passion started. Because for the first time, I was really, I loved what they were doing on that show. I was so impressed, and I said, you know what, that's what I want to do. That's who I want to become. And for me, that's where it all started. The entire media journey.
See my life because of you.
While growing up, I grew up with my uncle. Right, I grew up with my uncle. I grew up in the north. And then there wasn't a lot of fascination per se. It was more of an interesting experience, because it wasn't a pleasant journey. Basically, it wasn't a pleasant time in my life growing up, because I was living with an uncle who didn't really know how to treat a kid. So there was a lot of issues and beating and all. So it wasn't a pleasant growing up. But I think things turned out a little bit interesting when I left his house and I came back to the East with my parents. And then my dad was a choir master, right? So he did a lot of music, and he wrote music, and then he composed a lot of music. He taught a lot of choirs. So I guess that was also part of where the music part thing for me came from, because I kept watching him everywhere we went to. He would teach choirs, groom choirs for the Catholic Church. He wrote a lot of songs. And after I had lived with my uncle, and then I came back to my father's house. That was when I was in my JS. So I left my parents when I was like 4 or 5, and then I came back when I was in JS1, so like maybe 10, 11 or so. So he wanted me to learn how to play the piano, because he felt, since he wasn't so excellent in playing the piano, at least his son would know how to play. So he took me to a particular man who was playing the organ in the church, in the Catholic church. And he said, please take my son. The man told him, you have to do this so amount. And the guy was like, I don't have that kind of amount. But that thing he did spurred my interest in music. So what I did was I went and joined a particular band, and I started playing. So the interesting part of my life started when I joined the band. So it was really amazing to learn how to play with instruments. And from a young age, I started going to shows. Like I was playing all sorts of shows, so they would just see that small kid playing the piano. They would just literally have to carry me on, and keep me on the speakers, and then I'll just put my hands on the piano. And then we were playing all sorts of music. It wasn't, some were church music, some were secular, high life. We're playing all sorts. So whenever people saw the little kid on the piano, and then they hear what you're playing, like, now that boy, they play, that's it. So those were the interesting parts of my growing up, up to the point where I left for school. So yeah. I had an interest for media I really wanted to be on radio, be on television, but I didn't really get the opportunity because in those days it was a really tight industry. You have to probably have studied mass communication, or you would have attended FRCN training school to be able to get in on one of the radio stations. So, and I think I was listening to Bishop Chidi Jakes, and he said something. He said instead of waiting for someone to give you a platform, cut your wood and build your platform. And for me, that was the deciding moment. And I said, you know what, if nobody's going to give me an opportunity to be a radio presenter, I probably have to create my own. So that was when I started thinking of starting an online radio. I was already writing. We're already running Gospeltainment. I was already writing content and posting on platforms, but I really wanted to get on radio and get on television, and it really didn't happen, right? Because every time I go for one of those auditions, they'll never call you back. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to build my own. So I started building my own. So one of the things I did was, back in the days, I didn't have a system. So I would go to a cyber cafe, and then I'll plug in my headpiece in the cyber cafe computer, and then go to this streaming platform called Stream. I think it's Stream TV. I can't remember. It's a long time ago. And then I'll use the headpiece and I'll be broadcasted, playing music and doing the talk, and playing music and doing the talk. So this is literally how Gospeltainment radio and streaming part started. So basically, I had to build my own platform because I didn't have anybody give me a platform, and I think we didn't do bad, seeing that sometime we Gospeltainment radio were nominated for a couple of awards, so pretty much turned out fine.
Jesus is the light.
Part of the challenges we encountered, first for me personally, in my own personal career, was not having that platform. So I built the platform. But as an organization, part of the challenge is first of all, let me deal with the big elephant in the room, which is funding. Funding is, especially when you're doing faith-based media, funding is a major challenge, because most of the people who have money and want to put their money in advertising, which is how media makes their money, don't want to put it in faith-based content. They want to put it in secular things that don't have any bias. But once your faith bias becomes a challenge, it becomes more difficult. So funding is one major challenge, right? Because funding will help you to push every other thing that is going to be out there. So another thing is that you're literally not necessarily competing, but the churches own most of the media platforms, and they squarely use it too. Most of the Christian media platforms are owned by churches, and for people who want to just do Christian entertainment, not preaching, but just the music, the arts, the movies, just to present that part of entertainment that the churches will not pay attention to in their media space, it puts you up against them of some sort, and then you cannot compete, right? So you are in the little corner where you are doing what you're doing, trying to push and promote healthy, wholesome content, right? So with that, it becomes a challenge where you cannot match up to what the other people who have funding are doing. So it's quite difficult trying to convince investors to say, you know what, this is faith-based entertainment, put your money here. So I think for me, that's the biggest challenge. Is if it's creating the content is there. Are there young people? Is there a market? Gospeltainment applied for the Elumelu entrepreneurship fund and got the grant. I wrote a business plan, for faith-based entertainment, and it wasn't easy because that business plan had to be approved by one of the big consulting companies, So we got the grant, but that was the only grant we ever got, and I don't know if any other person ever got to that level of success in terms of attracting investment into faith-based entertainment. But those are some of the challenges when it's quite difficult to convince people to put in money to build something that is faith-based, that is not affiliated to any church. So those are some of the challenges.
Oh Lord, nobody can do the things you do.
Yeah, so I just mentioned one of them, which is the TEF funding. It really gave me validation. And when we got the TEF funding, that's the 20 million funding, it really gave me validation. But again, it taught me something important, because they didn't just give us the money; they took us through about 6 months of some sort of crash course in business management. So more like an MBA. Before, and then we had to do a business case, write a business plan before we were given the funding. But that was a major turning point for me, because it really taught me that this thing is not just about ministry; it's actually business. So from that point, I began to understand that you can't see this thing as we are just doing the Lord's work. No, it's business. You have to think through. We think about the administration, the marketing, the sales, product development, product design, delivery, excellence. You have to think through all the 9 yards. Your accounting has to be on point. You have to present properly, right? So it took us through all the 9 yards. So for me, that was a major turning point. I mean, we've had some successes, before then, but for me, I feel that that's the point where I started really knowing, okay, this is really what you should be doing and what should be focused on. So for me, that is the turning point. If it was money, it would have quit since, but it was never about the money. It was more about the talent. It was more about the artist. How can we help the artist? 1, 2, how can we make wholesome content available for people to be able to consume? Because part of my motivation those days was that secular music was all over the place. Permit me for using the word secular music. I was having a discussion with Wed MC, and she was saying, no, it's not, you can't say secular music. All music is music, just that is faith-based music. But I feel that in those days, there was this content that was all over the place, that was not edifying, was not wholesome, was X-rated, and it was all over television, all over the radio, all over the internet. Children will gather around the people that sell CDs and have a TV, and then they are playing all that stuff, and children are watching it. So for us, things like that ached our thought and our mind, and we're like, what can we do to make faith-based, wholesome entertainment available for young people, for the older generation, for people generally to have access to? So those were our motivation. It wasn't really about, there was no money. There was no money.
Nobody can.
What we are doing wrong in the Christian entertainment space, I feel that a couple of things are not right yet. But I love the fact that we are making progress and we are moving forward. But I feel a lot of things are not working yet. First of all, I feel that the industry, especially the music part, is heavily dependent on churches, heavily dependent on pastors. I mean, it's not a bad thing to be dependent on pastors and churches, but if the entire industry is dependent on pastors and churches, it means that we don't have an industry, because the day that the pastor or church decides not to patronize an artist, then the artist will not have a platform to perform. So first things first is that I feel that we really need to have an industry that has the churches and the churches as part, not the only platforms where the artists have access to. So a couple of things that we need to get right is get that part of structuring right. Now, another thing is that we don't have a lot of labels, and I think I also understand the reason why. I think generally in Nigeria we have a structure deficit when it comes to the music and entertainment space. So there is a lack of labels. I think we can literally count maybe 1 or 2 who are successfully doing well and are able to sign artists and support artists, but mostly we don't have labels. And what it means is that there are so many artists out there who are trying to hustle it on their own and trying to struggle it on their own, and they don't have structures behind them, right? So I feel that is another challenge that we need to deal with. We need to create more platforms, both for promoting artists, for production, for management. All of this has to be put in place. So these are some of the things that are not right, that we need to get working, right? So there are several other things that I might not place my mind around right now. Talking about safe stories, meaning stories that are not negative or drive conspiracy and gossip, especially for people who are in the gospel music media space. So, truthfully, to be honest, for gospel bloggers or gospel media people, safe stories pay the bills for a faith-based media practitioner. Really, but first of all, generally in the media space, negative stories is big story. If someone dies, a plane crashes, it's discovered that one president slept with somebody. It's big story. It's driving traffic, especially in this traffic-driven media space that we operate in. So, but then when things are positive, when it's a positive story, most times it doesn't drive that level of traffic. But I think the consolation should be the fact that you are pushing and promoting a wholesome agenda. So because the story you're telling is wholesome story, edifying, I think that should be just the satisfaction, not necessarily about paying the bills. But if you can grow an audience of 5,000 or 10,000 people out of the millions that you might drive when you are pushing some of these negative things, if you can have 5,000 or 10,000 people who will check out the good testimonies or the safe stories that you share, I think you should be satisfied. Rather than maybe tell negative stories or taint someone's image and then be able to make a whole lot of money. I don't feel that should be the satisfaction. The satisfaction should be that you told a story of something wholesome, something positive, and then it helps people, right? So I think that should be the inspiration.
Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Martins. I am a music business executive. If you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Martins. I started as a musician, playing on the streets in the east, precisely within and around the southeast of Nigeria. And from there, I became a blogger promoting gospel music, for many years. From there, I grew to become an online promoter, doing PR services and publicist for so many artists within the gospel music space. You might have heard about our platform, Gospeltainment. Yes, we created Gospeltainment in 2009, very early in the day in the industry, when most people everybody that had an online platform was promoting secular music then. But we came out, to start Gospeltainment. So from there, we started an online radio, and since then, we've graduated to become key players in the music business industry. I'm an entrepreneur, with over 10 years experience. So, I'm just sharing this in case you're meeting me for the first time so that we can get acquainted. And today I want to bring you information, something that probably as a musician or an artist, whether you're gospel or secular, you're probably thinking, how do I promote my music in Nigeria? How can I promote my music in Nigeria?
I think when it comes to measuring success, it still goes back to value, not necessarily money. It's about value. For me, it's about all the artists that we've been able to help to come to light. It's about all the people who have come to our platform to assess the content that maybe changed them, it stopped them from committing suicide, help them to get their life on track. So for us, that is the yardstick with which we will have to measure our success. And truthfully, we have to make money or be popular or win awards. I mean, it's amazing. But I think it's the lives, which is the reason why we entered into that space in the first place. Because I mean, nothing would have stopped you from, start another gossip blog or another, music blog where people can download all the brand new music or creative music all the time, right? But I think the yardstick would be the lives, and then, like my pastor would say, that pat on the back that you get from God that you're doing the right things. I think those should be the motivation.
Nobody can do these things you do. Can make the way.
So it depends on what you define as entertainment. Can the gospel media space be seen as giving a balanced entertainment? I think it depends on what you see as entertainment. The truth is, can we even use the word entertainment in general? Because some people feel that there's nothing like entertainment in the gospel space. People feel, in fact, I remember one one pastor telling me that, why are you calling your platform gospeltainment? What's the entertainment thing doing there? God is not care to entertain anybody. Why are you entertaining? So they see it as either worship or you're preaching the gospel. They're not seeing it as entertainment. But I choose to differ because I feel that there are other parts of the expression of art that is faith-based, and we can use the collective word entertainment to carry all of it. And I don't think God would get angry if someone is doing a wholesome comedy or doing a drama or something that is showcasing the kingdom or that is helping people get their life on track in the way of the Lord. Is it entertainment? Yes, it's entertainment. And then can we give a balanced entertainment? I think yes. But it also depends on who is receiving it, right? It depends on who is receiving it to be able to see it in that aspect, right? But yes, I think we can. I think we're doing it. I think we just need to make a lot more noise, put a little bit of more professionalism in what we're doing, right? In what we are doing now. If you are in that space, what you're doing, and I think yes. What we have done in the past is to create a platform called Gospeltainment that was promoting gospel music and faith-based entertainment. So basically, movies, talk shows, stories, inspirational stories, talks about relationships. Basically, make this content that you would normally get in church, make it available on digital platforms to access. And then, of course, the biggest break being the music part that has helped a lot of artists. So what we have done is to transit from doing that into creating a platform where people can distribute music. So that's what we are currently doing. Now, even though Gospeltainment is still running, and then we're trying to revamp it and change the name to Gospel Buzz, right? So that it will be more in line with what we want it to be, because we want our blog part to be more story driven. But now we're trying to do digital distribution, which we started during the pandemic last year. And till now, it's been such a success. And then we're looking at all the other things that we can do in the future to also help the music entertainment space. But we have gone from doing media to doing distribution at this time. We started Gospeltainment, 2009. Basically promoting faith-based entertainment, writing stories, doing the general reporting, journalism, the tutorials, articles, and all. But with that, we had a lot of access to a lot of artists. And then I noticed that most of the artists, their music is not being monetized. They're not making money from their music. So we started thinking of what we can do. First of all, we started by signing a contract with NEWBIE. So we started that, and then we pushed it to the point where we knew that, okay, we needed to get into the distribution space properly. And the reason was we wanted to help gospel artists make money from their music, because we discovered that they will spend a lot of money in production, in promotion, but then again, when it now comes to how they will get the money back, if one church does not invite them to perform, they are not going to never make anything. So we started to start the digital distribution. So we're still running Gospeltainment. I handed it over to younger guys, and then we're trying to change the name now from Gospeltainment to Gospel Buzz, so that it will be more in line with the things we want to drive, which is story, faith-based stories. But now we're doing. I'm personally overseeing Givera, which is our digital distribution arm, and then also by building Gospeltainment Radio and the Gospeltainment blog and Givera, I've had a lot of I've had to build a lot of tech knowledge. So what I have done is to transit all that knowledge into my own tech company, which is Cultural Technologies. So we host websites, design mobile apps, and then we have a couple of clients who we are running their online radio. We have Fad FM Calabar, where we are hosting their online radio. We have KCT Radio, we're hosting their online radio. We have Radio, we're hosting online radio. We have Praise Nation in Canada, we're hosting the online radio. So all that I have done in the past from 2009 till now, inspired or starting our tech company, which I started about 4 5 years ago, even before we started ENTREPRENUER. So it was Gospeltainment, Cultural Tech, then ENTREPRENUER. Free time. So I watch movies. I like movies a lot. Netflix and all the other places. I do a lot of movies because I really love movies. Then apart from that, I read a lot. Then I do a lot of walks. I like to take long walks. It really helps me to relax my mind, help me to think, articulate, plan. Almost every evenings, I do long walks. And, I have a really nice place in my area, so I just do a really long walk. It helps me to articulate my thoughts. So these are the two things I will tell you I do in my free space. I don't have any. I don't watch football or play stuff, but movies and long walks. That's what I do. My laptop, because I'm always on it. I say this I can't live without. So my laptop and the internet, because I'm always working, building, creating content. So that's one thing. Maybe my mobile phone, and then maybe the next thing is probably prayer. I pray a lot because that's how I've been able to get through some of the hardest times of my life. It wasn't easy getting here. We literally pioneered this, the entire Christian media space. We literally pioneered it. So we were not like trying to copy someone, and there was little help because every other person was doing secular, so there was little help. So a lot of spending time in God's presence, prayer. I mean, it might sound cliche or might sound churchy or Christian-y, but then again, that is what we did. So doing that really helped us to shape our thoughts, shape our life, be focused, not break down. I've had some really, I've had some difficult times in my life, but I think a constant relationship with God and prayer really helped shape my thoughts, shape my life.